Prague is a mysterious city of many faces. It inspired the world-famous writer Franz Kafka to write dreary, frightening and surrealistic works, while Wolfgang Mozart derived inspiration from the city to create the light, sentimental and airy music of Prague Symphony. The ancient Old Town Square is at the heart of Prague. The square is situated in the historical centre of the capital and is nested among the city buildings. During its centuries-old eventful history, the city was a witness to solemn and majestic coronation ceremonies, rebellious uprisings, and cruel, fearful executions. Look down on the pavement. You will see golden stripes that make the 14th Prague Meridian. The stripes are believed to have magic powers, and if you walk along the meridian and make a wish, it will surely help your dreams come true. Now it's time to have a closer look at the square, which is noted for its sights. First of all, let's talk about its most popular places of interest. Old Town Hall is perhaps one of the most well-known ancient buildings situated in Old Town Square. When John of Luxembourg, King of Bohemia, granted the royal charter to the city of Prague in 1338, Old Town Hall established itself as the centre of the city's self-government. The world-famous Prague chime clock, called Orloj, was assembled in the southern wall of the Town Hall Tower later in the 15th century. The Prague chimes are an astronomical clock, one of the most famous sightseeing attractions in the capital of the Czech Republic. The history of their construction is enveloped with a lot of thrilling myths. According to one of the city legends, the Prague Council ordered to blind Master Hanus, the man who designed the outstanding astronomical clock, so that never again could he create something of that kind. The inconsolable master damaged the clockwork so that 50 years had passed before it was restored again. The oldest parts of the clock date back to 1410. The calendar, dials and the allegoric figures of the apostles were added about a century later. Every day at noon, an exciting and unusual performance awaits the tourists who walk in the square. The doors in the upper part of the clock open, and everyone can see a train of 12 apostles moving slowly clockwise, one after another. The Prague Orloj can tell the local Prague time, show the phases of the moon, the number of hours before the sunset, and much more. The clock attracts the attention of millions of tourists who come from all over the world. 27 crosses with the symbols of a sword and a thorny crown can be seen on the paving stones near the Old Town Hall. 27 insurgents who rebelled against the Habsburg dynasty were executed on that very place. Two majestic cathedrals situated in the square are worthy of a glance. The Church of Our Lady before Teen is one of the most famous Gothic cathedrals in Europe. In the times of Hussite wars, the followers of Jan Hus gathered here, and later on the cathedral became the main church of the so-called Calixtines. They are moderate Hussites whose only difference from Orthodox Catholics was in how to conduct communion. They wanted it to be held not only with bread, but with wine as well. Inside the church before the Teen, tourists can find the oldest pipe organ in Prague that was built in 1673 by German master Henrik Mundt, and the tomb of Tycho Brahe, a Danish astrologer who worked at the court of Emperor Rudolf II. The St. Nicholas Church is one of the most fascinating examples of high Baroque architecture. Many times it has fallen into different hands throughout its history, serving as a parish church of the old town, as Benedictine Kostel, as a storehouse, and as a concert hall. Originating as a Czech parish church in 1871, it came into the possession of the Russian Orthodox Church, and since 1920, it has been the citadel of the Czechoslovak Hussite Church. You surely have already noticed that there are no two identical buildings in the square. Almost every building in the square is unique and has its own interesting history. So let us continue our excursion around the square and get acquainted with them more closely. Golczyński Palace is considered to be the most beautiful building in Prague in Rococo style. The history of the palace is related with Franz Kafka, and at the end of the 19th century, in one of its parts there was a German gymnasium which he attended, and in the right wing of the building there was a store which belonged to his father. Since 1949, the palace has housed the National Gallery, which features interesting art exhibitions. The museum possesses the largest collection of drawings and graphic works in the world, engravings and drawings by Albrecht Dürer, the eminent German painter, and such noted masters as Rembrandt, Goya, and Picasso. A three-storey tower palace of the House at the Stone Bell, one of the oldest and most significant buildings in Prague, was erected at the second half of the 13th century, and John of Luxembourg, King of Bohemia, used it to live here. Now it is used as a concert and exhibition hall. And in this building, there was a pharmacy named the Golden Crown. It is believed that King Charles IV himself granted special privileges to the dynasty of its owners. In the 19th century, it was used as a coffee house and gained great popularity with many literary men who used it to gather here regularly. This building, like the house at the Golden Crown, also served as a pharmacy, the famous pharmacy at White Unicorn. The name of the pharmacy was surely symbolic. A young maiden taming a unicorn is an allegory for an alchemic wedding, and every pharmacist in old times was believed to be a bit of an alchemist. At the end of the 19th century, a bookseller, Alexander Storch, produced this house and decided to rebuild it and refurbish it. The building will certainly catch your attention now with beautifully painted facades. It's interesting to note that while pulling down one of the walls between the floors, there was found a small chapel with an alcove, and in the centre was a table with a sword, and until now nobody knows who put a weapon there and bricked up the chapel. In 1781, the first reading hall in Prague was opened in the house called At the Golden Unicorn. The visitors of the house were offered a wide choice of periodicals, and later the house found a different use. The building also served as a hotel, where Ludwig van Beethoven stayed for a few weeks. The name of one other famous composer is connected with this building. In 1848, Bedřich Smetana, the father of the Czech classical music, founded a music school that was also situated in this building. There is no exact explanation to why the house is called At the Minute. According to one version, the name of the house came from the Czech word minuciozny. That means small diminutive. It indicates that here tobacco was sold in small portions at the diminutive, together with petty goods. According to another version, it is named after a Dutch merchant, Minuut, who used to have a tobacco shop here. He is famous for purchasing the territory of modern New York from the Indians in 1626. The house was the early home for Franz Kafka, where he spent his childhood. The house at the stone table got its name from the sign of a stone table that was the emblem of money changers. At one time, it was even called At the Money Changers. In 1910 and 1911, Albert Einstein, the famous German physicist, gave public lectures in the house at the stone table. It is considered that at one of these lectures, Einstein first formulated his groundbreaking theory of relativity. An antique shop where tourists can find a wide variety of skillfully made weapons, replicas, and exact copies of armour from the early Middle Ages to the 19th century is located in the house at Night Christoph's. The shop was founded by the Christoph brothers, consultants of historical scenes in many feature films. They participated in creating such world-famous blockbusters as A Knight's Tale, Blade 2, and Hidalgo. In 1915, a large monument was erected in the centre of the Old Town Square. It is the statue of the reformer Jan Hus, the national hero and one of the most important personalities in Czech history. There had been much speculation regarding the place for the memorial that had lasted for 13 years. Originally, Jan Hus was supposed to be depicted suffering on a fire, but finally, a less conservative project in a modern style was selected from among many other candidates. In 1926, 2 bowls with a gas supply were constructed on the stone pedestal. The fire was to be lit up on national holidays in memory of Jan Hus's sacrifice. Unfortunately, it went out during World War II. The monument was badly damaged during the war. A few bombs exploded near it, and one of them right on the steps of the monument. Now, the front part of the huge sculpture remains damaged. Part of its plastique is lost and water can get inside the monument. And that's why the memorial is now under careful reconstruction. The possibility of reconstructing the bowls with fire is underway at present. Old Town Square is not the only tourist attraction of Old Prague. Come to this hospitable city to have a walk across famous Charles Bridge with its majestic ancient sculptures and wander along the narrow shady paths of the old Jewish cemetery. And of course, you should visit one of its numerous cosy coffee houses or spend an evening in one of the pubs to admire the Czech beer. You're always welcome in Golden Prague.